For those of you that have not been in this room quite yet, we have the bathroom right here and also several more in the rear. Coffee and water refreshments in the back. And I'll let you go ahead and get started. You know, waste any time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to our session. It's always a little bit, you always wonder when you have a late afternoon session on the end of a Saturday, but glad to come in there and I'm glad you're here. My name is Doug Davis. I'm the owner of Chapman Farm. We're a CSA, direct marketing farm, vegetable farm, certified naturally grown. In the Oxford area, we're located about 6 miles south of Oxford. This is Betsy Chapman, and she's does a little bit of everything. She's very definitely a farmer. She gets out in the fields about 3 days a week and gets nice and muddy and harvests and processes. But in addition to that, she handles all of our direct sales and marketing, communication, CSA, and really this is going to be mostly her presentation, but I thought I would start off with just talking a little bit about our farm and our farm history. Yokna's farm started in the fall of 2009. Some of you may know Daniel Doyle, seen him around a little bit. Daniel was actually a student in the class I was teaching in Miss. He was in the summer class as part of the Mississippi Teacher Corps program. And we found as we got to know each other in that class that he had a real interest in sustainable agriculture, as I did too. And I expressed to him a desire to use some land I purchased the year before when I first moved to Oxford that had good bottomland soil. And I had told him that someday I wanted to possibly start a farm. Next thing I knew, Daniel was saying, "Okay, I'm ready to start that farm. Let's get going." And you know Daniel, I think you probably seen him doing that. And next thing I knew we were starting a farm. And what I brought to the table was a love of growing food, and a love of gardens, and a lifetime of being in. Although I never lived on a farm, I often worked on farms. I was often involved in agriculture-related endeavors, and just seemed kind of a pattern that was following me through life. And so I felt like I had some knowledge of growing food. I knew I could grow food in the garden. I knew I could grow food using sustainable methods. But I didn't know if I could upscale it or if it would work. We're wrapping up our 5th season, and we're continuing to grow, continuing to do well. We're part of a very vibrant, local, and growing food economy in the Oxford area. It's been very exciting. There wasn't much happening. There was a small market, a few growers that had been growing conventionally and selling the food at the market. There were no organic or sustainable growers at that time. And today in the Oxford area, it's much different. There's 2 markets. I think there's 5 CSAs now in the area. We're selling to restaurants, we're selling to schools, we're selling at the 2 markets. We have our CSAs, and things really, I don't feel could be going much better. Farming, I've taken that with a grain of salt. Some of the things I've learned over these 5 years as we've grown. Our first year we were growing on about a half acre. Our second year, we planted about 1.5 acres. Our third year, we jumped it up to about 3 acres. The next year, about 4.5 acres, 5 acres. And this year, we kind of stuck at that level. We didn't jump up a lot, although we've been able to grow much more food. So we're really getting our systems down. Because I'm on the faculty at Ole Miss, quite frankly, that's what's financed the farm. And yes, in each of those years, you could say that our revenue was slightly below cost. But I don't know how you start a business without investing in it. And the other thing about it was the farms depended on people like Betsy and our field manager, Jeff Stone, who are earning a living off the farm. So that, I think, has to take that cost, expense, revenue equation into consideration. One of our challenges moving forward is how are we going to meet the financial obligations of the farm? And one of the real tricks is, as we're trying to expand and as we're getting to a fairly substantial size, we have to upscale everything in balance. So we could have easily planted 8 acres and probably produced 8 acres of food. But the challenge would be how do you get all that food harvested, processed, to market, and sold? One of the biggest disadvantages in small market farming or small scale local farming is organic food has a very short shelf life, especially if it's not a root crop or something that does have a longer shelf life. But our basic cucumbers, tomatoes, all our lettuces, all our greens, all that stuff, you harvest it, you've got 1 or 2 days to sell it. And if you have cold storage, you might have 2 to 4 days to sell it. But if you don't sell it, we try very hard not to waste it. We donate food. We try to do value-added stuff with it that Betsy will talk about. And at the last resort, we still don't waste it. It goes into our compost pile. It gets reused. But a compost pile, except for the good nutrients it's going to provide us, isn't going to keep us paying those weekly bills that any business has to pay. So as we grow, it's a matter of processing, storage, transportation, markets. All those things have to grow and expand with you. And at this point in our history of our farm, it's like we're just doing little pieces here and a little piece there because we don't have a ton of capital to pour into it. And that's not a bad thing because we kind of upscaled to a size that could financially support a farm. Now we're at that size. Now we're refining it and making really slow steps to improve. All that's to say that in this whole system that is our farm and trying to make our farm economically viable, especially for the individuals out there day to day doing the work, producing the food, we have to sell it. We have to get the most dollars possible that we can for every piece of food that comes out of that field. And that's why I don't think you could do what we're doing unless you had a wonderful marketing person. And I'll say, gone through this presentation that this isn't stuff that came out of a book. This is stuff that came out of our experiences and primarily Betsy's experiences. And I'm really proud of it because I think it's as good as anything you'll find in the book. And so with that little introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Betsy and let her talk about her approach to marketing on her farm and the kind of thing, how she does it and the success that she's had. And hopefully there'll be some time for her or both of us to answer any questions you have.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you guys for being here today. I once attended a workshop on farmers market success, and the presenter talked with great eloquence and passion for about 45 minutes on the importance of tablecloths. I'm not going to do that. As you can see, I've got a tablecloth out here. I do believe in them, but what I'd like to do instead is share a really common sense approach to marketing for small farms. It doesn't depend on big advertising budgets, and it's really rooted in developing personal relationships and building a community of loyal supporters. So, yes, we can. So, since marketing is all about communicating what you have to offer to potential buyers, I think it's really important to develop a marketing philosophy that sets the tone for your approach. And the heart of my approach to marketing is relationship building. That's going to be a recurring theme here. And since all relationships begin with introducing yourself, I think it's really important that you tell the story of your farm. In all your marketing materials and efforts, tell the story of who you are and why you're doing what you do, what your background is, why you decided to farm. Introduce your crew and behind-the-scenes workers who are not always out there in the markets, so people can really get a visual sense of your farm family. You might also talk about your land and the history of your land. Are you a first-generation farmer, or are you from a farming family? So really just kind of bring it all to life so people can get a sense of who you are and begin to develop that kind of personal relationship. So, and be sure to tell about why you're passionate about the work you do. So that brings us to your mission statement. It's really important to share what your vision is and what your goals are, what your farming practices are, and what your values are. And that's something you can put together so you can very clearly communicate what your mission is. And you might also want to think about your sales approach. We all have the experience of being turned off by an overly aggressive salesperson. So nobody wants to be seen as a pesky, annoying sales lady. So forget the used car salesman stereotypes and think of yourself instead as a knowledgeable person offering information to an interested party. A big part of our marketing approach is illustrating the bigger picture. People want to be a part of things, so I like to think and advertise in terms of community building instead of selling things or getting customers. And in building a community of loyal supporters, it's very important that we offer transparency. So be reliable, be consistent in what you offer, and start building relationships based on trust. And a great way to do that is to get your CSA members out to see what you're actually doing. So that's the best way to show that everything that you've grown yourself. Everything you're offering at market, you've actually grown. Because I get that question a lot, especially if the bunches are really neat and perfect. People will be like, did you grow that? And I'm like, yes, we just use fancy twist ties to put them together. So, and finally, on this topic, there's something indelibly attractive and iconic about the American farmer. It evokes images of simpler times and living with the rhythms of nature. And people who sit at desks all day in offices wish they could join us out in the fields. So they really have a great admiration for the good old-fashioned hard work that we're doing. We did a series of posters earlier in the year where we kind of had a World War II Rosie the Riveter theme. The poster's really popular, they're visually appealing, and they really resonated with people. So I think we can draw on these nostalgic, iconic images when we're creating marketing materials that really reflect the nothing can stop the spirit of small farming. Because I think we all feel that way. Like we're out there no matter if it's raining or snowing or whatever, we're going to get it done, we're going to harvest food and get it to market. So I think that's something that people really admire. Okay. So what is direct-to-consumer marketing? Well, here's a picture of it right here. This is Jay. He's one of our most adorable farmers market customers, one of my favorite guys. And he comes every week. He's very loyal. And every week, his goal is to try something new. So in this picture, you can see he has purchased a coal run. So direct-to-consumer marketing it's the grower selling directly to the consumer. It's as simple as that. It really relies on the seller's ability to communicate what is special about your product, what makes it different from the table over here and what they're doing. And it's also deeply bound to relationship building, personal relationships between farmer and customer. So we have three primary ways that we market our food at Yokna Bottoms. We have community-supported agriculture. So our CSA members get a big portion of what we grow. We also participate in 3 weekly farmers markets, and we do a lot of sales at local restaurants. And here's an example. Melody at Living Food, she had a table out here this afternoon. A lot of the food she prepared today was from our farm. So, and she always makes sure to put our name on any advertising that she's doing. So that's cool, and it's very, very exciting to see her long-known cheese pumpkins turn into delicious cupcakes. Okay, so you've grown the food, now what? You've got to get it out there. You have to decide which ways are best for your farm to do that. This is kind of a lot of information here, so I'm just going to kind of briefly go over some of the benefits of direct-to-consumer sales. And they are many. Again, the central theme here is relationship building with your customers. At markets and CSA distributions, farmers have a chance to really begin building those personal relationships through those weekly interactions when members are shopping or picking up their CSA shares. It gives the farmers a chance to share how the food is grown, offer product information, provide recipes, and educate shoppers on nutrition and seasonality. They can also talk about agricultural practices and farming values, how workers are compensated, how animals are treated. It's a chance to be open about what we do and give customers an opportunity to ask us whatever they want about their food. And for the restaurant sales, farmers are provided an ongoing source of income even after the market's end. The restaurants are still in business. So if you're growing, they will buy it from you. It's also great potential for cross-promotion. If you have a popular restaurant in your town that's using your food, they're likely going to put it on their menus and their websites. And restaurants are really becoming hip to sourcing locally. And so the restaurant and farm relationship helps in building culinary tourist destinations. And if the farmer is selling directly to a chef, that's a great chance to get insight on what chefs want in terms of quality, quantity, and variety. You can use that information in planning for the coming season. And maybe one of the best things of all, without a middleman, these forms of sales bring top dollar for high quality premium products directly to the grower. Also, the frequent personal interactions allow for quick resolution of any problem. So if there's an issue with a product, customer is unhappy, you can just clear things up right away. Okay. So if you're going to sell, you need a salesperson. Your best salesperson may be you. Maybe a family member or a volunteer or somebody you hire. But you need to ask yourself who can best head up sales for your farm. So I invite you to take a look at Kevin here. To me, he looks sort of like a farmer's market superhero. He's friendly, approachable. He looks happy to be there. He's got a great display. So I would hire Kevin in a heartbeat to run a market table. Here are some qualities you can look for. I think it's important that the person who's selling your food really love food and love to cook and use the food that you're growing. That way they can tell the people who are shopping what things taste like, what they can do with them. I would also look for a passion for building access to local food. And also understanding of the benefits of strong local food systems. And you also want to look for someone who believes in your farm's mission as much as you do. And it's great to be a good talker. That's a wonderful quality for a salesperson. You should also be a better listener. Most issues, like customer service issues, can be cleared up right away if you just listen to somebody's complaints or concerns. So good listening goes a long way in resolving any issues that your customers might have with your products. Finally, I think a good salesperson should have a genuine interest in people and a knack for connecting with people, because the person who's selling your food is sort of like community liaison, a spokesperson for your farm. You really need somebody who likes to talk to people, wants to get to know them, can remember their names. It's really important things to cover. So when you find the right fit for a salesperson, make sure to be clear about what your expectations are, what your farm's mission and values are, what specific duties you expect them to be responsible for, and then really work with them in setting sales goals for the coming season. So now I'd like to offer just a few tips on the main ways we get our food from farm to table. So we'll start with the CSA. And one of the most common questions I get, besides what is a kohlrabi, is what is a CSA? So you need to be able to clearly communicate what a CSA is, how the business model works, who uses it, how members share the risks and rewards with the grower. We often use the newspaper subscription metaphor. So we explain how the model works is people pay for a food subscription. They sign up for our CSA, pay before the season begins. That gives the farm money to grow the food. In return, they pick up their food subscription once a week. So to invest your CSA members in the idea of doing that, you need to let them know how much their support assists the farm in planning and preparing for the coming season. CSA members are very interested in how their food is grown, so be ready to answer lots of questions and provide lots of information on what specific farming practices you use. And as I mentioned earlier, people really just want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So make your CSA members part of the bigger picture in building a local food system by getting them out on the farm, encouraging involvement through volunteering, attending farm events and workshops. So one of the biggest challenges for farms is to decide how to get their food to CSA members. One thing we've done that's been really helpful to us, we've streamlined our labor and expenses by doing our CSA distributions at our farmers markets. So this does a couple of things. It gives us the opportunity to show potential customers how our CSA works and what they can expect to receive. Brings more people to the market who might then shop for additional items either from us or from our colleagues. One thing we do is we offer a market style distribution instead of a pre-packed box. This allows customers to select their weekly shares. It means less work for us because we don't have to pack up 75 boxes. And it sets us apart from other CSAs in our area. And as more and more CSAs crop up, it's really important to communicate what makes your CSA special. Here are several ways I describe our CSA as unique. Of course, you never want to badmouth your competition. Instead, just focus on what makes your brand special. I tell people we have environmental integrity. We don't use harmful synthetic chemicals. That means a lot. We offer abundance, 32 weeks of pickups. That's a lot longer than many CSAs in our area. We offer choice through our market style distributions, convenience of 2 in-town pickups, value. We have, I think, very reasonable prices for what we offer, and community. We really are trying to build a community of supporters. So to market, I think appearance really counts. You want to create a distinctive display, so even if you don't have your sign up, your customers recognize you as you. And there are several ways you can do this. Be creative. I've got a couple of low-cost suggestions. Number one, high-quality canvas makes great tablecloths. This tablecloth has gone on 2 years. It still is holding up. You can wash it. Stains come out, and it's fantastic. We also traded food for the time the seamstress spent making the tablecloth. So we open to trading for goods and services. People want good food and, are willing to do that. So you can also hunt at thrift stores, pick up baskets like this to display your food in. They cost about $2 or $3. You don't have a lot of money up front. It's a great way to get your display together without a huge investment. These wooden crates are fantastic. We paid about $30 for 4 of them. They're very durable. We can store things in them for transporting to market, and we can also use them to create height on our market table. So that's one of our best investments. And again, just when you're out, like if you're at a garage sale or a thrift store, just look for stuff that will make your display unique. You also want to create a sense of abundance on your market table. If you're having a week where you don't have a lot of food, think about using a smaller table and stacking items to create height and filling up space with herbs or flowers or value-added products. I've got some pepper jelly here, and I've got samples that I want to share with you guys later on. It's also a good idea to set your space up to invite customers in. So I do kind of a upside down U shape with my tables. That brings people in. They can shop inside. They can also shop along the outside of the tables. So that means more people can get into the small space and be shopping at the same time. Also, this is a real pet peeve. make sure you train your harvest staff on proper food handling, cleaning, storage, and packing. I've given many seminar on proper bunching technique, because if you have sloppy bunches, it really diminishes your overall presentation. So it may seem like a small thing, but your bunches should be really consistent in size and weight and just look nice. Your food should be clean. You might be dirty, but the food should be really clean. Make sure you properly label all items according to cottage food law or specific guidelines that your market insists upon. And it's really important you have proper labeling, because you never want a customer to not ask you what something is because they're afraid of asking a dumb question or appearing ignorant as to what the whole problem is. So your food, you should be ready to describe the food you're offering in vivid detail. If you have people helping you out at market, make sure they're taking some food home to eat and cook with, so that they can also describe the food. And this is a helpful little tip I like to employ. Suggest ways that several items could be used together to create one dish. That way a customer might consider buying 4 items instead of 1. And then shop or trade with other vendors. I think building good relationships with your colleagues and working together to build a stronger market that serves growers and shoppers alike. I think one of the best ways to do that is by buying something from the stall next to you, maybe something that you're not growing yourself. And finally, look alive at market. No matter how out you are, put your best, friendliest, most attentive self forward, and remember, if you sit down, your sales sit down. So, on to restaurants. Restaurants are really intense environments, and chefs are action-oriented professionals who demand high quality and want variety. It's really important that you present yourself as reliable and professional. This doesn't mean you have to wear a business suit and carry a briefcase. You can wear overalls and carry a bushel basket, but make sure you bring a business card and an availability list. I've come up with a few suggestions, things to keep in mind when you're approaching restaurants. Timing is key. Mid-morning around 9:30 or 10 is a really good time to call and tell chefs what you have available. A good time for delivery is between like 2 and 4. It also depends on if the restaurant just does dinner or if they do breakfast. So consider their serving schedule before you just call or show up. And begin by preparing a 2-minute explanation of who you are and why you're talking to them. This is not the time to go on and on about your love of farming. It's like, this is business. This is what I have to offer. This is what I can offer to you. Would you like it? Because they're so busy and kitchens are just so chaotic. So it's best to be like short and sweet. And don't be turned off or scared away if they don't just jump for joy when you show up. But really just be persistent in relationship building with chefs and kitchen staff. It's also important to talk about money up front. Ask them how they prefer to be billed, either email or regular mail. When should you send a month's worth of invoices, or do they prefer weekly? Will they pay you when you pick up, or are you going to set up an account with them? Also make sure you know the name of the person in charge of accounting before you even get started doing business. It just can get chaotic if you don't. It's better to do those things up front. And really get familiar with local menus and and chefs' preferences, and make notes of their likes, dislikes, and pet peeves. You want to create a sales and delivery schedule that works for your farm. The way we do it is we market on Tuesday. So Wednesday, I can offer properly stored, still good, fresh food on Wednesday mornings. Then I can take special orders on Thursdays, and then after the market on Saturdays, if I have leftovers that are still in great condition, I can call and say, I've got such and such available, and so I do another round of deliveries on Saturday. So based on your market schedule, work your restaurant sales into that in a way that works best for you.
Betsy, you have about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay. So keeping good records is really important. I use a simple Excel invoice tracker. It shows who's paid and who still owes us money. And just make sure that all deliveries are signed for and you leave a hard copy. This eliminates any confusion in getting the money that you're owed. Do not be discouraged by small orders. If I do 5 $30 orders in a day, that adds up. And I developed a range of customers. Some are my big customers. Some get something every once in a while. But again, all those sales add up. And you might start small, but as you continue to be consistent and reliable in what you offer, the restaurants tend to buy more. To be really honest with yourself, as much as you'd like to fulfill every request, sometimes you can't. Don't promise anything unless you're 100% sure you can do it. I've gotten into trouble thinking I could do something and was not able to do it, and then I had to go back and give Dish some free okra because it was my bad. So make sure you're promising things that you can fulfill. Finally, integrity. If you make a mistake, don't offer complicated excuses unless maybe your house just burned down. Just apologize for it and find a way to make it right away. And lastly, getting the word out. Posters. Be strategic when you publicize. Think about where potential customers might hang out. Coffee shops, yoga studios, libraries. Just think about who your customer might be and where they might be. Social media. Don't just use social media to say we sell carrots, but try to think of creative ways to get people excited about food. You can post pictures of meals you made, write about the food you're growing, share recipe ideas. Write about your farm on your blog, day-to-day activities, what you've got coming up, what farming means to you. Write about food, recipes. You might also consider doing a food column in a local newspaper. And on-farm events, this brings people out to your farm to see directly what you're doing, get them invested in what you're doing. We do a lot of potlucks and concerts, field trips, we have volunteer opportunities. So when you show people what you're doing, you're also showing them how they can be a part of it. Speaking engagements and community events like health fairs, food day activities, university classes, elementary school classes, Meet Farmer Day. There's all kinds of ways that you can bring the farm to town. So when I do events, I'll often set up a little mini market display just to show people what kind of food we grow. And build sustainability partners, work with other groups to promote what they're doing, and ask them if they'll help you promote what you're doing. And lastly, your best advertisement is going to be your awesome looking market display and your community of loyal supporters. Keep on growing.
to say, Betsy brought all this food to show. All this food was harvested yesterday, in mid-November, and this is what came out of a field in North Mississippi. We have a fatty mixed lettuce, lacinato kale. These are collard greens, curly Scotch kale, what's the cabbage, white Russian kale. We're rocking broccoli right now. It's just gorgeous. Green onions, radishes, red Mizuna, and carrots. And I don't think you brought everything you could have. We also have some parsley and some mint. This warm fall we've had today, all our herbs are rolling right along. And then we have, and we hope you'll come up and try this is amazing pepper jelly, and its main ingredient is a value-added thing we started doing last year when we had bushels and bushels and bushels of jalapenos. We started letting them turn red and we started smoking them. Takes about 10 hours to smoke them, but and that makes chipotle or chipotle. And we can hardly, we'll smoke a batch and it'll be sold in a week. It's amazing. It makes almost anything taste good. So please come up and look at what we have and we've done. I don't know if we have time for questions or.
Well, it's a few quick announcements. If anybody wants to hang around and ask questions, it's fine. Our next panel starts at 4. The next panel will be Spartan Hall. Harvest. Okay, back to the future of revolution, including farming, William McLaurin, Gene Mills, and Myra Ryan, and Jeff Poppy. The other announcements are the living pools vendor are still out there. If you'd like to get some food, you should do that before the next panel because they will be leaving after that. At 6, also in Sparkman, there will be drinks and music for your pleasure. And I think there's some so yes, if you all would like to stay around and ask questions, please fill out your evaluation cards. And thank you very much to Doug and